It's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is leap. Let's take a look at some of the definitions or the ways that we use this verb. The first way leap gets used can mean to jump or spring a long way. We might think of a great distance, or perhaps to jump to a great height or to spring forward with great force. A second way the verb leap gets used can mean to move quickly and suddenly. Sometimes people will use this with their mind, kind of that their mind are making these quick and sudden jumps and moves. A third way the verb leap gets used can mean to increase dramatically. I think it can be fairly common to see prices being described as leaping or increasing. Now, you should know that leap can be both an irregular and irregular verb. Whether you're in the United States or in the United Kingdom, you're always going to see the progressive form with ing added to the end to form leaping, leaping. But your location or with whom you're speaking, I guess would be another way of thinking this, might change how you hear the past tense and participle forms. Okay? So in the United States, it's fairly common, or I should say more common, to see leap used as a regular verb. And this means you can add ed to the ending, and then when we make the past tense form of it, we're going to make a T sound with that ed ending. So in the United States, many times you'll hear leaped, leaped. Okay. Now, sometimes in the United States, you will hear the irregular form, but that irregular, from my understanding, is far more common in the United Kingdom, where you'll see both the past tense and the participle spelled L-E-A-P-T. Now, you might have been noticing as I've said this verb, leap, leap, I'm making a long E sound, but in the past tense, with this irregular, we're going to change it to a short E sound. You're going to pronounce it leapt, leapt. Okay. I know sometimes, as I've worked with different students, it's helped them to kind of think of keep and kept and those sounds, right? Different spellings here, but the sounds might help you remember that irregular form. Now, I live in the United States, so most of my examples here are going to use the one that is more common there, but you know with whom you're speaking and communicating more regularly, so you should certainly follow that lead and use whichever form kind of better suits your situation. But there are a number of verbs that use leap. And so we're going to focus our discussion today on those phrasal verbs. The first phrasal verb we're going to discuss today is to leap at. This can have a couple different meanings. We're going to talk about two of them. The first would be to jump toward someone or something. An example of this might be, that dog always leaps at anyone that walks by the house. Okay. This is an example of a simple present sentence. We're talking about the dog's habit or the dog's routine, right? So the dog jumps toward any person that is walking by. A second way to use leap at can mean to excitedly accept an opportunity. This is more of a figurative leap than it is an actual jump. An example of this might be, when she was offered the promotion, she leaped at it. Okay, so here we've got a simple past tense usage of it, right? It means she excitedly accepted. She didn't go, let me think about it for a few days. She was like, yes, I want to do that job. Okay. Another phrasal verb you might encounter is to leap in. This can also have a couple different meanings. One would be to jump into something or into some place. An example of this might be, the outfielder has leaped into the air to catch many near home runs. Okay. This sentence is describing the sport of baseball, and we're describing a particular person that plays kind of deep or towards the outer part of the field, right? And that this person is jumping up to catch balls that have been hit a great distance. A second way to use and I should say, sorry, the outfielder has leaped in the air, would be an example of the present perfect verb tense. Okay, now to the second part of leap in. This can also mean to join an activity that is already in progress. You might hear this used in the imperative form, and that's my example here. I'm giving a command. Leap in whenever you're ready, right? You might also hear people say jump in, right? They're encouraging you to join whatever it is. It might be a game or some other type of activity. The next phrasal verb we're going to discuss, leap over, can also have a couple different meanings. One meaning is to travel over the top of something. And you might be doing that something by jumping or vaulting, kind of using something else to push you over the top of something else. An example of this. As he leaped over the barrier, his back foot caught it and he fell to the ground, right? So we can maybe imagine some type of fence or something, right? Someone goes to jump and their foot catches and it pushes or makes them fall to the ground. A second way to use leap over can mean to travel or traverse a great distance or some wide area by jumping or leaping. An example of this. Does the superhero leap over buildings? Okay. This is another simple present question. I'm kind of asking maybe what this character does routinely or habitually. Another phrasal verb you might encounter is to leap out or leap out of. Generally, this is going to mean someone is jumping out of or jumping outward from something or from some place. An example of this might be, she leaped out of bed once she realized it was already 8 a.m. So this might be someone who needed to be up, maybe already on their way to school or work, and it sort of hits that person. Oh my goodness, right? So they quickly get out of bed, right? Leaped out of bed is another example of the simple past tense. A second way we can use leap out can mean to stand out or become immediately apparent, right? So you see this and wow, it's almost like it jumps out at you. An example of this might be, after rereading the question a few times, the answer leaped out at me. Right? So again, it's that idea of like, oh, it's so obvious. Clearly, that's the one. This is another simple past tense verb in that sentence. The last phrasal verb we'll discuss today is to leap up. This can mean to hop, jump, or even stand up very quickly or very suddenly. An example of this might be, the cat will leap up when it hears the doorbell. Okay. Here, someone's making a prediction about the future. You can see will leap up, right? And based on maybe prior things that the person has noticed, they're predicting as soon as we hear ding dong, right? We're going to see a cat jump or get up very quickly and suddenly. Now, let's spend a moment looking at some words and phrases that are related to our verb leap. And the first word we're going to talk about is the noun form of this word. One way to use the noun leap is to talk about a forceful jump or some type of quick movement. An example of this might be, the children enjoy making a leap over the creek. Right? So this is generally a smaller body of water, not as wide as a river, right? So they might kind of get a running start and then jump over that moving water. A second way leap gets used, again, might describe a dramatic increase in price. An example of this, has your city seen a big leap in home and rental prices? So we're asking, have you seen a large increase or a large amount? A third way to use the noun leap is to refer to a sudden or an abrupt, kind of without warning type of change or transition. An example of that might be, that's a big leap of the imagination. I don't think we need to worry about that, right? So here maybe people are talking about, well, if this happens, then this, right? And somebody comes up with something that you think, wow, that that is very different than what we've been talking about. It is a rather big change, or in this case, something that isn't likely to happen, a worry we don't need to be talking about, right? We can go back to the other more realistic things that may occur. Another phrase you might encounter would be a leap in faith. This can be the act of believing in or attempting something when you're not sure, does this thing even exist, or could this outcome really happen? An example of this might be, moving to a new country can take a leap of faith. I every day get to interact with people who have taken this big step, and I admire their bravery, right? To come to a place where maybe they don't speak the language, maybe they don't even know anyone else here, right? And so kind of the possibilities, the outcomes, right? You might not be sure about it, but you still believe, okay, I can do this and it will be better. Uh, Again, is what we would describe as a leap in faith. Another phrase you might hear is by leaps and bounds. This is used to talk about someone or something that is making rapid progress, so really speedy improvement. An example of this, I've seen your vocabulary grow by leaps and bounds. I love being able to tell my students this, and it is something I watch with great interest. One more word for us to discuss today, and it's leap year. Leap year occurs once every 4 years, and in that particular year we'll have 366 days, not 365. And February 29th is that extra day. It becomes necessary to sort of keep our seasons in sync because our year isn't exactly 365 days, right? And so we need this extra day to kind of keep us in sync. So maybe you're aware 2024 is a leap year, and today is leap day. That's why I chose the verb of the day, leap. So I hope you have a wonderful leap day, and I really appreciate you watching this video. If you have ideas for any verbs you'd like to see me discuss in the future, please leave a comment below. I really appreciate those suggestions. Have a great day.